Hello and welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. Before I go any further, please subscribe to this channel. If you like the video, please like it and please share it. Let me put a hat on. I got a bunch of hats. I'll do this one today. Did I do this last night? I don't know. Anyway, this one's going to be slightly different today because it starts on the street. Long time ago. In case any of you out there don't know me, let me give you a little bit of background. From a two-parent home, born and raised in San Pedro, California, lower middle-class neighborhood with an upper middle-class paycheck. My family, I guess. Youngest and only boy, spoiled brat, big Italian Catholic family on my mom's side. Dad's side, there was nobody. He had a cousin, that's it. At a very early age, I started doing drugs. Sisters got me high. Marijuana, cocaine. Not their faults. I'm not blaming them. I'm just stating facts. Got involved in drug dealing at an early age. At some point, through all my sisters, I had drug activity, but nevertheless, I liked it. I grew up in the cocaine 80s. Cocaine was cheap. Everybody was doing it. It was prevalent as marijuana. In high school on the weekends, everybody snorting coke. One of those things. And again, it was so cheap back in the day. That's just not making up excuses. That's just what happened in my life. And I never, I loved the lifestyle. I liked selling pot and going to the dance clubs, 321 in Santa Monica. Shout out to the old club days. Like going to gigs in Long Beach, vendors, and I like not working. I did work as a bag boy in a grocery store, McCown's Market on 10th Street in San Pedro. I worked at Mars Auto Supplies on Pacific. None of these places exist anymore. I used to deliver parts for that job after I dropped out of 11th grade. And of course, I went to work in the labor's union. I was supposed to be my dad. My dad was a business manager for Local 802. He worked for the International Labor's Union of North America, whatever. Point being is I had my life kind of handed to me on a silver platter if I wanted it, and I didn't. I chose drugs. Got busted in Catalina Island. Went on the run after I violated my probation. Moved to Arkansas. Caught another case in Arkansas. Did time in Arkansas. Ended up doing a violation in Arkansas that I was innocent of. And then California finally caught up with me on with the governor's warrant. And in 1995, they extradited me back, and I got out in 1996 out of Chino. Okay, so I'm saying all this for a reason. When I got out of Chino, I went back to Arkansas, where I was with my second wife, who was, I don't want to say, she had crack problems and she was a prostitute. Okay, that's totally. I digressed big time on the marriage side. So I was in Arkansas for a few months, working in a sawmill for minimum wage, bidding my time before I started dealing drugs again. And me and that wife had marital problems in January. And this is exactly the way my conspiracy all started. My mom sent me $500 or $600 to buy a truck. I had no money when I got out of prison. That money was then sent to California and to a sister who then sent me an ounce of methamphetamine. That ounce was, that $600, whatever it was then turned into $2,000 up in West Plains, Missouri for 1 ounce. I took that money, sent it back, bought 2 ounces, had ounces sent back to Arkansas, went back to West Plains. I now had $4,000. Bought a plane ticket to California, and on January 19th, 1997, I arrived in Los Angeles, and I stayed at my ex-wife's house. That day or the following day, my oldest daughter, I'll just say her name was A, my oldest daughter had a birthday party at a bowling alley. And me and my ex-wife my first wife were on really good terms. I stayed at her house at that time with the kids. I was supposed to take a couple weeks. Of course, we got in a blowout, and I ended up going to my parents' house. But anyway, I think it was after the bowling alley. It was a really, really good day that we had. Me and my ex and my oldest daughter's friends. It was an awesome day. And I'll never forget my daughter coming to me. And I was sitting in a chair, and she got up in my lap, and she put her arms around my neck, and she says, "Daddy, I want to have a heart-to-heart talk with you." Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what I thought. I thought that she was going to pump me for money, and when she said the words heart-to-heart talk, it sounds like something that came straight out of my ex-wife's mouth. So it's like, okay, my ex-wife just sent her over here to ask for some additional money. Now, I was in California. I was there for the birthday party, but full disclosure, I was really there to deal drugs. I was there to make connections and to start what would become my conspiracy that got me a life sentence. So I kind of giggled inside, okay, so here's my ex-wife pumping my daughter with my daughter. So she put her arms around me and she said, "Daddy, I don't ever want you to go back to jail again." And she had these big old tears running down her face. And man, in the other room, in my ex-wife's house, was marijuana, cocaine, and methamphetamine. I believe there was coke in the house that time. It might not have been, but there was marijuana, methamphetamine, all quantity that I purchased, and it was in the kitchen cabinets. Not the best place to hide drugs with kids in the house, but it was on top. But here's my daughter saying that she was asking me that oh no, I'm sorry, I just screwed the story up. This is how she said it. I'm so sorry. "Daddy, I want you to promise me that you'll never go back to jail again." And it was just gut-wrenching because, like I said in the other room, I just hooked up. And what came out of my mouth was, "Babe, I can't make that promise." And the reason I can't make that promise is because once you've been to prison, every time that you get in the car and drive, if you're pulled over, you can end up going to jail again. That's what I told her. That's the lie I came up with. And she had a very simple solution. "Well, just don't drive anymore." Boy, I felt like this big. I ain't gonna lie. Well, nevertheless, got high on meth. Probably was high. I was high at the time, I'm sure. My pattern in '97 forward was usually do it a day, stay up all night, sleep a night, But when I was in California, I'm not sure. I think I did it more. I think I did less quantities, but because I stayed there for like 3 weeks before I came back to Arkansas and started the conspiracy. But I don't remember. I was partying with friends and stuff. Whatever happened. So many times from January until July, I would talk to my kids on the phone, and I'd say, "Yeah, I'm going to be there and see you. I'm going to come get you for the weekend." And I did go to California, but I never made it to the house. Usually I ended up in a hotel room with some of my ex-wife's friends or girls or whatever the deal was. Or I just bopped in and out, The drugs were coming in packages, but sometimes I'd go to California, do the deals, put drugs in packages, mail them back, whatever. There was different things I did. So all the false promises that I would make to those kids, my kids came, my ex-wife and her boyfriend, his name was Mark, he was all right, I think, drove back to Arkansas and dropped my kids off for what would have been the month of August, and I was going to drive them home. Actually, they came in July. Anyway, they came to Huntington, Arkansas. Excuse me, I keep yawning on these videos. Huntington, Arkansas, where I lived. Dropped my kids off. And that was that. It was all we were doing pretty good. Everything was all right. Of course, I had my second wife there, who was the crack monster, but she wasn't on crack at that time, or so I thought. I found out later that she did some a few times. But anyway, we lived out way, and it was a little off-road, and there wasn't many neighbors or nothing. On the night of August the 11th, 1997, I was doing a construction project in the back. The cops, I forgot what they put in my police reports. Basically, they're saying it was a tweaker project. It really was not. It was a gazebo that was going to sit over the top of a jacuzzi. I had this big old jacuzzi I bought brand new, and I was putting a gazebo with a wet bar around it, and then I was going to put at the top a deck. That's just what I came up with. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I hadn't done meth all that day. I remember that. It was the day after, so I'd drink meth one day in my coffee, and the day after I'd stay up and I'd start drinking and smoking weed. Here comes my daughter, hey, Daddy, I want to have a talk with you. Okay, it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And I said, do me a favor first, go tell Barbara to give me a glass of Jack. I drank Jack straight, warm, normally, usually out of the bottle, but I didn't want her to stand the kid the bottle and bring me the bottle. I'd rather bring a cup of it, So here comes my 9-year-old at the time with the cup of Jack. And I said, what is it? And she said, me and my sisters want to stay here with you. We don't want to go home to Mommy. We want to stay here and go to school this year. Now, if I'm a kid and I have a dad who's a drug dealer, and I was not a small drug dealer at that time, and I can get anything I want, including a yard with the swing set, a trampolines where you bounce, very dangerous by the way, bounce into the swimming pool, big old swimming pool, every little tight outdoor toy you can imagine, go-karts with the go-kart track around the house. Yes, I'd want to stay there too. I was Disneyland dad. I was all fun, So I knew where that was coming from, and I really wasn't in a position where I wanted my kids for the summer. To be honest, I was going to leave on August the 21st. I had 2 trailers. I don't know what. I was just going to buy a dually truck, and I was going to pull them. I was going to go to the Carlsbad Caverns. I was going to go to the Grand Canyon, and then I was going to go to California, where I had a deal worked out for 18 pounds of meth, which I was going to then ship to Arkansas to myself, fly back to Arkansas, grab this meth, put it in a storage space, fly back to California, take the trailer, and go down to Mexico until November. I was a couple days from being off parole. When you're on California parole as an interstate compact, at least back in the day, you can get off in a year. And I was at a year where I had no dirties, no nothing. I had a parole officer also who liked me and didn't care and knew I was a drug dealer. He was sent money once. I got money confiscated in a different county where I wasn't supposed to be, and he gave me back my money, like $7,000 cash. So the guy liked me. The reason he liked me is because he was there when I went to prison innocent on my violation back in 1994. Anyway, different story. So my daughter said, Daddy, I want to have a talk with you. So she said, I don't want to go to school here. And I said, what am I supposed to say to your mommy? And she said, well, you're the daddy. You can just tell her that we're not going to come. And I said, I still love your mom, right? And I did. I had deep love for the girl still. I think we never should have got a divorce. Back then, I thought that. Now I see a whole different light. And, things worked out great. I was still kind of caught up on her, and I didn't really like my second wife. So I told her, of course she cried, and I said, look, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And she said, you promise? And I said, yeah. 11 o'clock the next day, federal, state, local, all these different alphabets came kicking my door in, arrested me. And that was it. Never got out of prison. It's done. Got a life sentence over that. My mom got arrested. My mom was at the house. My mom got arrested. So there was my 3 daughters, 2 other grandkids. So there was my nephews were there. Terrible, very traumatic bust. Very, very, something like on the movies, guns drawn, screaming, crying, me talking shit to the cops, them smashing my head in the door when I was trying to get, just a terrible, terrible traumatic bust for children, especially. I didn't see my kids anymore after that day. My ex-wife, after I got found guilty, after I was sentenced to life in prison, didn't really see a point in having the kids communicate with me, as she put it, until they were 18. Now she also met a guy who was very convenient for a little Insta family and just to wipe me out, but that's a different story. We've since made amends, by the way. Try to talk to my kids. There was a time about 2 years into my incarceration where I called my sister's house, and it just happened to be that my kids spent the night. Talked to the oldest one. They were confused, distant, didn't know really what to say, neither did I. And when I talked to my little one, who was 3 at the time, I said, "This is Daddy," and she says, "Who's that?" Talk about art making. That was the last time I heard their voices. That was in 2000, I think. I'm in Lewisburg, and I want to say 2006. So if she was 1998. So she was 9 in 1998. 1997, 1998, she turned 10. So I was at Lewisburg in 2005. So whenever she was 18, she was 10 when I got life without parole in 1998. So whenever my daughter was 17, I should say, I got a letter from her. The letter's in here. Matter of fact, I was just tearing through papers looking for the story I was going to tell today, and this one came up. I have the letter in there, and I know what it says. It says a lot of things, but it said, "How does it feel to know that you effed up your life so bad that you didn't get to watch your kids grow up?" That's how she started the letter. It broke my heart. Yeah, so I tried, we wrote back for a couple times. Then she tells me she's pregnant, asked me what I thought about young love. Of course, I got her mom pregnant when I was 17, and I tried to, by the way. That was intentional. It wasn't a mistake when we were kids. I wanted 5 kids. Trying to be encouraging with that. What do you say? What do you say? I didn't hear from her again for many years. In 2010, I was at Butner. So I think that was 6 when I got that letter. So 2010, I'm at Butner. My life's changed. I'm actually sober now. I was clean since October the 13th, 2007. So I was clean. About, I want to say almost 3 years at the time, or 3 years at the time, or a little more. Yeah, a little more. And my mom tells me that she's coming and my daughter wants to come, and my son-in-law. Now, my daughter had the baby with the kid in high school. When she was pregnant, she left the guy because he was like me, dealt drugs, surfer. I think he started getting into coke. So she left him. She met a guy who was, at the time, a paramedic, and he's mixed race, looks Puerto Rican. That's what every white dad in prison wants to hear, is that his daughter's with a mixed race. And this is before the Kardashians, who changed all that, by the way. But so that's what I found out. And so he raised my first granddaughter, by the way. So he was there when the baby was born, the paramedic guy. And his name, Jonathan, not Jamal from the hood, but Jonathan from the burbs. And he is very arrogant, thinks he's like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I don't know what. He's an arrogant prick. But so they came to visit me, and he was really condescending, and he was kind of, I wanted to strangle him. Actually a really nice guy, and I can see he was a good fit for my kid. He talked to me more than she did. So what happened was, when she came to visit me, there was the initial hug, totally awkward, totally weird. She had the first baby, and then they had their second, they had their kid together. Or was there 3? They've got like 5 now, but it was the first 2. Yeah, it was my first grandson. The husband / boyfriend, Jonathan, he sat next to me. My daughter sat next to him. And every time she talked to say something to me, she looked at him. It was really weird and uncomfortable. I held the baby. I hadn't held the baby since, in over 13 years. So I held my grandson like well, they visited 2 days. I held him. I never let him go for 2 days. But looking back, it was like I held him. It was like a defense mechanism. It was like a shield to hide from what I was feeling over here because I'm holding this baby. And he was perfect, by the way. He never cried, never did nothing. He was a perfect kid then. I found out that she didn't really want to come back on the second day. They wanted to go look at places in Raleigh. But she ended up coming back. And on the second day when we said goodbye, I remember hugging her. I remember giving her a kiss. And I said, I'm sorry. And at that time and at that moment of that life, I saw one thing. And it was forgiveness. It was forgiveness. And it meant all the world to me. Everything I just said, pretty much, I wrote in a story called In My Daughter's Eyes. It was on one of my blogs a long time ago. Probably got one of the most reactions out of anything I ever put out there. I wish I can say that everything ended like, it was everything ended since I got out of prison good. It has not. My daughter did live on the farm where I first paroled to or got out to. As did my 5 grandchildren and my son-in-law. We did good for a few months. And because of the family dynamic, we have not talked. They've moved out of state. They're gone. And that's that. But having said that, I will say I stand by the story that I wrote years ago. And to see the kids' eyes, to see that forgiveness was something special. I'm only sad that it wasn't able to remain that way, but it's not, and it's not her fault. It's both of our faults, and it's a lot to do with other family members' faults that put us in positions that were wrong. That's all I can say, and it's another part of the reason why I have disowned all family members. And I'm not saying my children, everybody else, but anyway. So that's what I was feeling today. That's what I'm going to do. This is the video I'm putting out. It's not one of your rock and roll in prison stories, but it is what it is. I think I'll call it In My Daughter's Eyes, Once Upon a Time, or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Take care. Have a good day. Anybody that's involved in crime right now really needs to think, and you have kids, you really need to think about it. You really need to think about what you're doing and if it's worth it. Because I'm going to tell you, when she wrote, how does it feel to know you effed up your life so bad that you won't get to watch your kids grow up? Devastated. I was devastated. She was right. So just think about that. I don't ever want people to think that this channel is about promoting, glamorizing prison life. It's not true, even though some people, law enforcement positions, feel that way. Take care.